All right, you guys, this is Fresh News Edgar. Today I want to talk about the difference between capitalism and socialism or communism. But I'm going to talk about it from the way I see capitalism, not the traditional way or how it is, because according to the dictionary, according if you actually study capitalism and communism, communism is a way where everybody's the same. They usually don't believe in private property. Capitalism believes in private property. And it's about transaction, it's about expanding the capitalism. That's what capital is. Capital is like you have sources to invest, to put in your money on something. You have something of value to exchange. That's what we usually the tradition, in how capital is defined. But usually in a capitalist this system or society, you have to have the rights to private property. In communism, they don't believe in that. They feel it's better the state to do it, to avoid any of these of large corporations to take advantage of the poor, So, however, me personally, my opinion, I feel like that's kind of like the way I see capitalism is very simple, and I feel like every part in society uses this no matter what, capitalism is something that, for example, it's an exchange. I buy and sell, or I have money and I'll pay for your labor voluntarily, not as slaves. You are willing to give your labor in exchange for something, and that has been always the case in years, and many, so many people. It's quite hard to do anything for free. That's just not going to happen, because there's always going to be people that are going to take advantage of it, I mean, the Pilgrims had to try to do that, try to like just voluntarily. It didn't work, and that's because it just doesn't work, Now it's funny because even socialism and communism relies on that. They rely on the exchange between buying and selling and labor and getting paid, with the exception that, for example, it's really not in the control of the companies, of the business, or is in the control of the government. And the communism says, because, well, if you look at the argument that they would say that, well, if you look at the capitalism, they were able to exploit people in the indigenous, for example, when it was imperialism. But the problem I see in that is that a lot of this imperialism actually rely on statism. Statism is like when you, which we actually have that in the U.S. and now in modern day. It's like when you have the government, certain corporations, certain companies in bet with the government, and therefore they have a disadvantage compared to the other businesses, and so there's some sort of demand, and there's some sort of force. Like, for example, slavery. Slavery is a practice of statism. It's not these slaves are not voluntarily given their free labor. It's practically forced on it. So it eliminates the belief that it's capitalism, but technically it is. And I feel like, for me, that's the reason why I'm saying this. My opinion, I guess, this is the way I see capitalism. Not like the rest of the people say. Capitalism is practiced in communism country. It's practiced in socialism country. It's practiced in statism country. It has happened anywhere. If you look at it from a perspective of buying and selling and paying and exchanging labor for something of value. It's funny because even in communism countries, they actually are opposed to private property, but with under, certain privileges. Some people, some companies actually do have the right to have private property. So there you go. It was, I guess, communism, full communism never has existed because, like I said, it doesn't work. I just made a video a while ago about regime change and socialism, how in a real utopian society, you will have to have people think the same, which people don't. People don't think the same. Okay, so this is the reason why I feel that now, as a conservative and libertarians, the best thing to do to try to convince people, it's not to talk about capitalism, because there's crony capitalism, there's all these things. The best in statism, when you have the government in bet with corporations like big tech happening right now. The best thing to do and to always push is free market. The free market. Now I understand that there's this thing, some communists say, well, we don't need the free market. We have this anarchist communism. Anarcho-communism, to me, in my opinion, is an oxymoron. It would never work. It has not worked. They tried it, and I believe in a country in Korea, and it didn't work, you know, because at the end of the day, you always need to kind of enforce this anarchic communism by the forcing with the government. You say that we don't believe it's practically capitalism without the right of private property, which doesn't work. I mean, who's going to enforce this, you know? And I'm not going to get too much into it, but that is just one of the arguments. And that's the thing about, and for example, anarchic capitalism is likewise, you know, similar, but, you know, if you actually take the term anarchic capitalism, I feel like they can get anything, like them by the law, you know. Of course, that's not what it means, you know, but the way I see it is, that's how I view, you know, anarchic capitalism, there's no laws, you know, it's whoever has more money has the more privileges. Thankfully, we live in a republic, and the republic promotes the free market. And the free market system is what libertarians, is a capitalist free market system is what libertarians and conservatives should be pushing, you know, not this statism, because the problem is the left will not accept it. The left will say that this is unfair, and it is unfair when you have, and you can see it now, when you have big tech, you know, with the government. And it takes advantage because the government becomes clients of these companies. And because of that, these companies are able to have special privileges. Therefore, it's not a free market system anymore. And this is the reason why I want to tell you guys that the best thing to do is promote free market system, you know? Because this talk about capitalism and communism, I frankly feel like it never has worked. There is no communism countries eventually, if you take China for example, eventually have to give out, you know, give in to capitalism. And many of these countries in America, they have some sort of socialism in them, you know? We don't have a free market system. So I feel like we need to get rid of this mindset of, oh, capitalism versus socialism, and just start actually promoting what the free market really is, you know? Free market. So that's just pretty much my thoughts on this. You know, I hope you guys liked it, and just subscribe to my channel, Fresh News, and like my page on Facebook.